So first of all, to start our SketchUp drawing of our pencil box, we just open it up from the SketchUp icon, and then we want to choose a template. So the one that we'll choose will be woodworking millimeters, which is down here. It's very important to make sure that we choose the metric standard. Be careful not to choose the imperial, but yeah, we'll go with the metric and start using SketchUp, and we'll open it up. So the first thing we see is our screen, and we see the three lines representing the height, the depth, and the width of our drawing. I'll just talk quickly through some of the tools that we'll be using. First of all, the select tool. I'll come back to that one a little bit later. It's especially good if you want to delete a part or have a look around. We have our lines tool, which simply allows us to draw lines, and then we have our erase tool, which allows us to erase those lines fairly easily as well. We do have some other variations with the arrow drop down menus, so we have freehand as well for our line tool, and then arc if we want to draw an arc, our polygons, rectangle, circle or polygon, whether it be 4, 5 or 6 or 10 sided figures. We have our push-pull tool, which helps us to extrude, which I'll be showing you a bit later on. A few other little tools that are quite handy: our offset tool, move, rotate, if we want to rotate an image, and our scale. A couple of other little tools here. We have our tape measure, so if I have a line and I'm unsure as to the dimensions of that line, I can grab my tape measure tool, put it on one end and extend it down to the other, and it'll tell me exactly how long that line is. We have a labeling tool, so we can draw some text. This is our fill tool, or paint bucket as it says there, which gives us our finishes. So once we draw an item, we can change the color of it, we can put an effect like woodwork or a tile onto that particular item. Our orbit tool, which allows us to orbit around the drawing, very handy in 3D. Our pan tool, or what I call the hand, which moves the image around on the screen. Zoom in and out by just holding down your mouse, and a zoom best fit. So if I hit this button, it'll extend everything until its size on the screen fits really well. Another handy tool to get used to is our undo, which the shortcut for our undo is Alt backspace. So if we wanted to go back and just cancel or undo those last couple of things that we drew, Alt backspace. Now to begin our drawing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to camera, and it gives me a whole heap of standard views that I can choose, and just for ease I'm going to choose the top view, and that allows us to look down upon this drawing from the top. Now it's quite important that, just use the zoom tool to zoom around a little bit, that from the start, when we draw a line, if we want to draw a line parallel to an axis, it'll change color. So whilst those ones are black, it'll click to the red, so I know that's parallel. Green, which is also parallel, and blue. So if you're drawing something and you really want to make sure that something is parallel to an axis, you have to wait till it changes color. Okay, so again, I'm just going to go camera, standard views, top, And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my side piece of timber. Now, timber that we're using is 12 millimeters thick, and my side piece is going to be 235 millimeters long. So what I can do is just start off with my pencil and aim it down our red line, and I'm just going to put in 235, enter, then I'm going to come up 12 and back along, again waiting till it clicks to the red colour, 235, and then I'm going to come down and I should have a rectangle there. I can use my best fit tool and suddenly I can zoom in on that item. Now what we need to do is put our rebate joints into our edge piece. So in order to do that, I'm going to select my line tool and I'm just going to come down 4 millimeters and then along 12. You'll find that sometimes when you draw a line, the line doesn't appear and you have to actually go through and pick it up with that little green button, and that allows you to click on and then draw from that line. So I'm going to do that on either end. Just again, come down 4, pick up that little green button, and I'm going to come along 12. Let's try that one again. And then up. Then I can use my erase tool and erase out those two lines. So now I've got my side, it's 235 millimeters long, and we have a 4 millimeter rebate where we can take the ends of our drawing into each particular part here. Of course, the purpose of having our timber joints is we have a greater support when the piece of timber is held in, and also it gives us a greater gluing surface area. So we have glue along the side and also along the end of the joint. From there, what I'm going to do is just select my shapes, and I'm going to come up here and I can enter in the length of my end, which should be 110, comma, space 12. And I can do that at both ends of my job. 110 long, comma, space 12. And that should, if I pick the best fit tool, give me the two ends of my pencil box. Now from there, the other side of our pencil box is a little bit trickier. And I'm going to use my pan tool to bring that down a little bit. So I know that my rebate will come in 4 millimeters and then my piece will come along. So I'm going to draw that particular section in first. So from the edge, I'm going to come down 4, enter, again pick up that green line, bring that all the way along, waiting for it to change colour. Basically trace the ends of my pieces, and because my piece is 12 millimeters thick, I've already used 4 millimeters, that should leave 8. Enter in 8. So it doesn't seem to have liked me there, so I'll just go back and undo. So again, going to come in this direction 8, come along, which what should be 2, 3, 5, come back down, and I'm just going to have to redraw that line in. There we go. Now there are always different ways and different methods of drawing things. It's really up to the individual as to how you can wrap your head around what you need to draw and set it up ready to draw that item. There's no set method. I'm just showing you one of the methods that I'd use. So in order to get rid of that center part, which has become a solid, I'm just going to select it and delete it and go best fit again, and we can see that we have our two ends, 110, and we have our two 235mm sides with a 4mm rebate joint to accommodate our sides. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to extrude all of our sides up by using the push-pull tool. So I select the push-pull tool, hold it until we get the dotted appearance, and you can see that I can bring it either up or down. So what I want to do is bring it up, and the distance I want to bring that up is 46, which is the thickness of our timber, the width of our timber. Again, 46. Now that may be a little bit confusing, so I'll choose the best fit tool, and that'll give us exactly a little bit better indication as to what I've done there. So I've made the item 3D. So again, if I was to go Alt backspace, and you can see exactly what I've done in a different view. Redo push pull, which is Control Y, and I'll use Control Y. So I've raised the three parts, or the end and two sides of my pencil box up. Now the front piece of the pencil box, we only want to bring up 36mm, and that will accommodate the lid that we're going to put in. So I just want to bring that up, 36, enter, and I have a nice pencil box taking shape there. Again, I can orbit, zoom around, have a look at the bottom. Now you'll notice that the bottom is not filled in. We'll come back to that. I'll show you how to deal with that later on. So what we want to do at this point is have a look at putting a base onto our pencil box, and then having a look at drawing a lid also onto our pencil box, and that'll happen in our next little tutorial. See you then.